Virgin. Beauty. Bitch. Podcast. Inspiring women to overcome social stereotypes and share unique life experiences without fear of being defiantly different. Your hosts, Christopher and Heather. Let's talk, shall we?
A great man once said, "A day without laughter is a day wasted." His name, Charlie Chaplin. Charlie, well, he is no longer with us to make us laugh, but his philosophy lives on through comedians like our guest, Holly Shaw. Holly, welcome to Virgin Beauty Bitch.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. Now, Holly, you are a comedian, yes, but you're also an author and coach who helps performing artists overcome anxieties that you likely faced as a child actor. Like, what lessons learned then still resonate and serve you today?
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, when I was an actor as a child, and when I say child, I would say like 12 to 16 years old. Still a child, right? But it was something, I just want to make it clear, it was something I wanted to do. I begged my parents to do it. You know, when we hear child actor, we think of somebody being forced into it. But I was like begging my dad to get me an agent, and it just felt like something I knew I should be doing was performing. And when I was a young actor, I would go to these auditions in Chicago, you know, and it would take, we lived in Indiana. My agent was in Chicago. The whole industry's in Chicago. It would take 5 hours on an Amtrak train to get to one audition. And I would go in, you know, knowing my lines, having worked on it so hard, I worked myself into a frenzy. And then I would forget the lines, or I would stumble or tremble or shake, or I just didn't have a great performance. And then we would get back on the train and go 5 hours back home to Indiana. And you can imagine that train ride. Ooh, just feeling like the weight of that failure. And so it was, stage fright was something that I dealt with then. And it took me until I was in my 20s and 30s as a dancer to really figure it out and recover and find out how to take that nervous energy and that fear and to alchemize it into something powerful.
I still can't get over that at 12 years old you had an agent because you wanted it so badly. Where did that come from? Like where did that drive to? I mean, at 12, what were you doing, Heather? What was I doing at age 12? That is amazing. Where did that drive come from?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I have always been kind of ambitious and driven, but I will say I do remember, and this is in my book, this story of when I was just a wee little toddler, like 3-4 years old. I have this memory. My dad took me to a big band jazz concert at the mall, and it was so phenomenal. And I remember being a little kid and the music just lighting me up and just feeling my body start to move and dance. And I danced around in front of the band. And I remember looking out at the audience and seeing all the like happy faces. And I felt like there was like an energy filling me up from that. And then I felt it like moving out through me back to them. And I think it's that energy. It's like that feeling of connection with an audience, no matter if I'm dancing, acting, or now doing stand-up comedy. It's all about like connecting with that audience and having that that cycle of energy that's moving. I think that's what's most fascinating to me as a performer, not being a star or famous. I mean, you know, obviously when I was younger, that's what I wanted, but it's really about like that real-time connection. Sure. Yeah. Well, I feel like the real key was when I understood that when I finally got it, the energy that makes you shake or be nervous, and this can be anybody. You don't have to be a performer, right? It could be getting up and speaking to your boss, or doing something you've never done before. For anybody in that place where it makes you shake, or you feel nervous, or you feel there's this overwhelming feeling like I shouldn't be doing this, right? But the flip for me was realizing that energy actually means you should be doing it. It's just a matter of it's energy that's flowing to you and through you to help you do it. And you're nervous because you are excited about it, right? So it's turning that energy, it's learning how to turn that energy into magnetism instead of fear. And I would say, one of the key things is recognizing how your own thoughts about what's happening to you drive that. So it was learning how to recognize the stories I was telling. This energy comes up for us and we want to be like, oh no, like it means that I'm not worthy, or who do I think I am? And we make up all these stories and the voices come, and it's learning how to redirect those voices, understand that that's just fear talking. Because those voices are really going to drive where it's like a hose of energy, and the voices that the things we tell ourselves really kind of drives how we can use that energy.
How do we differentiate the fear from the whatever that impulse is to, it's like standing, okay, if you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you're fearful, there's a reason why you're fearful. If you're standing on the edge of a stage and you're fearful, how do we differentiate the two?
Sure. Right. Because your body thinks it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a threat. All these people looking at it's a threat. It is. It's not normal. It's not normal to stand in front of 1,000 people on stage. Like that's not a normal thing, And I think, especially through stand-up comedy more than anything else, because the practice of it is that you're on stage as much as possible. Like stand-up comics go out 7 nights a week. Like we try to get a little stage time wherever we can. Because of that, because it just normalizes it. It's like, this is just what I do. And it tells your body, this is what I do. If you see a comedian nervous, you can't laugh. It's like possible, right? It's like, ooh, like you're worried for that person. And then you're not, you're like, it's not cute, right? So you have to learn to relax. And for me, the tools and tricks I learned as a performance coach has helped me in that way. For me, like when I first walk out on stage, I connect with the audience, right? It's the opposite of what you want to do. You're afraid of them. Oftentimes we feel a little afraid of them and we want to like back off. We want to close up. We want to not look at them, but the opposite of that is actually what you need to do. So I'll try to look at certain people in the audience. I'll try to actually really take in, oh, there's a person with glasses. Oh, okay. Cute haircut. I'll try to pay attention and then look in some eyeballs, even if it scares me, and kind of take a breath and take them in so that I'm establishing that, like I said earlier, that flow of energy. It greases the wheels, because we're all afraid of not being loved, not being seen, not being understood. And it's like, if we can just try to do those things for other people first, it kind of can help us be like, no, like we're all here together. We're all in the same playground. Yeah.
So Holly, I want to ask you this. Okay, so you walk on stage, you've made the commitment to connect, you've started that bonding with your audience,
Yeah.
but I'm sure there's always the one person who has to disrupt your stage presence. What do you do with hecklers? How do you handle that?
Well, that's a great question. So you're talking about hecklers, right? Ooh, we get to my favorite topic. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing because stand-up comedians always have to deal with hecklers. Like, it's something you learn to do very early, and you just keep learning it because it's uh, when we're up there, it feels like a conversation if we're doing it right, like that we're having kind of a one-sided conversation. So you add alcohol to that, and people want to be like, "Yes, sister," they want to yell at you and stuff. And some of that is like not a big deal. You just, like go with it. And then you have the ones that like really want to like say a joke, or like they think they have a better tagline than you, or sometimes they do have a better tagline, and it really pisses me off. um, and then I make a little joke about like comics don't like it when you're funnier than us. You make a joke, I mean, I think ultimately why I wrote this book, Queen Lessons, about stand-up comedy is because I don't think comics are the only ones that deal with hecklers. We all are, especially women, but all of us are like interrupted. People don't listen to us, people ignore us. They try to push us off our path. So I think for any of us dealing with those hecklers in life, you have to, their attention is your tool of war. I guess I would say it's like where you can either, there's many tactics. You can either invite them in, you can either be like, okay, you want attention. I'm going to give you all of our attention, and we're going to shine a spotlight on you. We're going to make a fool out of you. And have some fun with it. You can also take your attention fully away from that. But I think the most important thing whenever I'm dealing with one of those hecklers is to keep a hold of myself, to stay loyal to myself. So I have to be the most powerful person in the room, right? That's my job. I have a microphone. And so it's like, I can't lose control, but sometimes you do, but you got to keep control of yourself. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I talk a lot about emotional fluency. Like even if they are saying things, or you are staying with yourself, you're not like being embarrassed, you're not looking like you're thrown off course. Maybe you are thrown off course a little bit, but you're like, hey, okay, what's interesting, okay, what's happening? You're staying with yourself. I guess you're never abandoning yourself. I think the worst thing a comedian could do is, all of us could do, is to just kind of abandon ourselves. And we do that a lot. If you think about it, like, how many times have you asked for part of what you wanted, but didn't ask for the whole thing because you were afraid like you wouldn't get it, or you're afraid it's too much? Or times that we like trail off a sentence because we're afraid nobody's listening. These little small betrayals of self, right? When I became a stand-up comedian, it started teaching me these, because the audience will tell you. The audience will start ignoring you if you're abandoning yourself. They're like, ooh, they don't want to see that. So you start to be trained into this way of like sticking with yourself, because these little betrayals matter.
I really want to kind of congeal this into your experience as a woman and the gender part of what it is you have to face
Sure.
that men on that stage may not have to even consider. What have you learned from a gender perspective from your experiences?
Sure. Well, I mean, it was interesting to me because I started stand-up comedy when right as I was entering my queen years. So for the audience members that don't know, the queen years are kind of the euphemism I put on perimenopause and menopausal years. So it's like the hormones start changing, and I started to feel just less clear, less, the fog brain happened. I started gaining weight. Um, I didn't have the energy I used to have, right? And that was right when I started stand up. But also the beautiful thing about the Queen years is like, can I cuss on this?
Go for it.
Like, you don't give a fuck, okay? Like, like there's that whole TikTok thread that's like the I don't care club. I love that. That's perfect. It's like you don't care so much anymore, and that's a beautiful thing to not care. And so stand up, you need to not care. Uh Queen years, you start to not care. So it was like this
Mm.
beautiful combination. But yeah, I mean, it's challenging. Like, does the comedy industry want to see older women on stage? Not particularly. I mean, like, it's not. I definitely feel that. Um, and yet I also am buoyed by the power of the Queen years. So
I would say that as far as mature women are concerned in entertainment in general, I think that you're right. We'd rather replace them with something younger.
mhm.
That's just the way that we have generated our interests.
Yeah.
Um, how would you transfer what you've learned in your queen years to someone starting out in their early years to have that same kind of effectiveness and self control as they go through what it is they have to go through?
Mm,
What would you tell yourself at 23 that you know now, basically?
right. Right. Um, you're so much more powerful than you know, right? Youth is so wasted on um, and also you don't know shit at 23. Not really. And it's okay. And um and honestly, I think, just these things that I've learned about courage and about how it's really a combination of um being honest, being being loyal to yourself, being persistent. Like, the persistent person wins, right? Being able to learn how to be shameless.
Mm.
And there's a fifth one, and I can't remember it right. But I would say I don't know that I could tell that 23-year-old anything that they would listen to. I mean, I try when I see young people, and they're open to it, because these lessons are kind of things you have to, that's why they're queen lessons. They're kind of things that you have to earn a little bit. And I want to bestow them, which is why I wrote a book about it. But at the same time, it's like you have to take your own experiences and extricate the wisdom from those.
So tell us about Queen Years. Give us the full title. Now, this is not your first book as well, right?
Right. This is my third book. Yeah. It's called Queen Lessons. I got it right here. Queen Lessons: What Stand-Up Comedy Taught Me About Dealing with Life's Hecklers and Finding Courage in Your Queen Years.
Beautiful.
Uh, yeah.
So, as you said, you wanted to pass on what you've learned to others.
Mhm.
Do you feel in your heart when you pick that book up, and it's a big book,
Yeah,
that it,
it's a
that it accomplishes what it is you set out and what you hope it would do for
yes.
readers?
I well, here's the thing. I was in a low place when I wanted to start writing it, and it took me somebody, Megan Walrod, and she's an author, and she said this the other day, and it made me start crying because I realized it was true for me too. She said her book took her 10 years to write because she needed to become the woman who could write the book. And when I heard that, it resonated. And I realized when I had the idea to write this book, it was me trying to raise my vibration to find the lessons, find the inspiration. I was looking for a book like this. You know, there's more now coming, which is exciting. There's more information about menopause and people writing about it, women writing about it, but there wasn't really there wasn't the book I was looking for, the book to inspire me. And I was like, well, I think I'm going to have to write it, you know? And I had to become the woman who could write the book through the writing of it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I feel like this is a great opportunity to ask you this. You know, in your journey with the book and what you've shared with us so far, is there one of or all of the names of this podcast that you have a story around or something that's meant something to you over time with the Virgin, the Beauty, and the Bitch?
Yeah, sure. I mean, all of those words, but provocative as hell. But I would say the bitch, right? It really, in your recent conversation, I think I wrote you about it in the email about placating and like how we try to not be a bitch. That really resonates with me because I was a nice girl. You know, I was trained to be nice. And I've had to decondition myself just to be able to write jokes, just to be able to find things that are funny that I'm willing to say. It's like, they're not nice things. Like, comedy is not making me nice. And when I say nice, I don't mean like kindness and compassion are always important. We need more of those. But I'm talking about the niceness that's like, the niceness where you're taking care of everybody but yourself. Right. And I think we're so afraid of being called a bitch that we want to take care of everyone else in front of ourselves. And really, it's a contortion. It's something that's taking us out of alignment with who we really are, our own needs, our own wants, our own desires, to the point where I don't know about you, Heather, if you have this experience, but I talk to women and they don't even know what they want. They're not even able to put their finger on it or name it. And then it becomes the process.
Piece of the journey of this podcast is looking at exactly what you've said as an element of personal betrayal as well. That we've been so conditioned to put other people before us and to not know ourselves and our own needs well enough to not only know them, but then be able to articulate them and expect that those will be like desired and upheld by the people that love us, is part of the societal betrayal that envelops and breeds the personal betrayal.
God, yes. I love what you said about like the societal betrayal and how that feeds the personal betrayal. It's so true. You know what I mean? It's like we all suffer. Somebody the other day was talking about the patriarchy. They were like, well, it worked pretty well for all these years.
Girl,
And I'm like, oh, did it? Can you cry? Are you allowed to have any emotion? Like, you know, it is just like like when we really see it in the broader spectrum, like you're talking about, like the societal betrayal, like we're asking men to betray themselves. You know, one of the questions that was in the email was the feminine. And I'm like, how do you even, I love that we have non-binary now and people are trying to deconstruct these things, because you look at the dictionary definition, it's like compassionate and sensitive and soft. And it's like, why can't the masculine have some of that too? You know, like why can't I be strong and big and loud? And I am, by the way. It's like, why can't we, you know, like we need to deconstruct these things because we're betraying ourselves by putting ourselves in these boxes, you know?
You're absolutely 100% correct. And on the word feminine, I think what we've done with the word, we've made the word into a gender, and it's not gendered. I think that's the problem that we have with the word, is that we have cornered it into something where it does not belong. And you're absolutely right. As far as betrayal goes, so we've taken bitch, the word, and broken it up into an acronym. And the first letter of that word is betrayal, because that's where it all begins. So we are going to be doing a series where we go through each and every letter in the word, and each one has a meaning. But betrayal is where we begin.
Cool.
Exactly.
Right.
We are so happy that you dropped everything on short notice to be with us here today. We could not be more overjoyed